Today, I'm excited to bring to you an interview with my favourite European Portuguese teacher who's on YouTube, and we mention her in our European Portuguese video. And if you haven't watched it, I don't know what you're waiting for, but stay tuned. So I'm so excited to have my favorite European Portuguese YouTuber here with me. I'm very, very honored to have the wonderful Mia Esmeriz here with me, going to talk to us today about Portuguese and tell us about her course and more about her. And I've got some good questions for her, actually, because there's some words that I'm still struggling with, very important words in Portuguese that I need to figure out. So hopefully she will help me. But welcome, Mia.
Oh, thank you for having me here. It's really a pleasure to be here. As we were discussing before, not sure if I'm a YouTuber, but I really like it that you say it like that, and I appreciated that you like my work. So thank you very much for having me here.
Definitely. No, I'm delighted to have you here. So thank you. For those who may not know about you, I mean, I did talk about you on my European Portuguese video, but for people who may not have had the opportunity to watch that yet, or haven't yet discovered your channel, can you just talk a little bit about you and where you're from?
Sure. So, as you said, my name is Mia Esmeriz, and I'm the founder of Mia Esmeriz Academy. So that's my Portuguese learning school kind of thing. So for now, it's just Portuguese. And I've been teaching Portuguese for more than 10 years. I started teaching one-to-one classes, and then groups as well on site. And then I also started teaching online. So yeah, I discovered that I really enjoy teaching online as well, because I can reach more people, and that's just really great, because there are so many people interested in learning Portuguese at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's just more like flexible. People can join whenever they want, etc., etc. And then I realized that, because first I taught in a platform called italki or italki. I never know the name. It's really a complicated name. I think it's italki. Okay. And I started teaching there online classes. But then, like, I had so many people asking me, like, oh, do you know where I can find more materials in European Portuguese? Because everything is in Brazilian Portuguese. And I started seeing that there was demand for more materials online. And I had the idea to start making my own courses, my own materials, and it just went so well. So I kind of am dedicated to doing that at the moment, and also my YouTube videos, Instagram, etc. So that's people that don't want to go for a course can also have access nevertheless. So that's what I've been doing.
No, that's amazing. And I think, given the current times with the pandemic, more and more people are leaning towards online learning. They can't no longer go to classes anymore, so more people are looking to learn online, and
that's true.
So I think it's definitely a really great thing you're doing.
I started already before the pandemic, but definitely during the pandemic it really went like up, like people were really looking for it. And I forgot to mention, of course, that I have a master's degree in teaching Portuguese as a second language from Porto University, so where I studied.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. And where did your passion for teaching come from? Is it always been with you since you've been small, or where did that come from?
I don't know if teaching was with me since I was small, but I definitely loved languages since I was a little girl. Yeah. So my parents and we used to go to Spain on holidays. And I always met a lot of people. So first of all, I had to learn Spanish, like on the streets with the friends that I had there, because like, I wanted to speak to them and I didn't want to be the foreign girl who doesn't have friends. So you know how kids are, right? So I started speaking, and so now I'm fluent in Spanish, but just because, I went there in holidays. And Spanish is fairly similar in a way to Portuguese, although the pronunciation is totally different.
Totally.
But, it was kind of easy for me to learn as a child with the friends, just interacting there. And I started understanding that, wow, I really like learning new languages. And then I went on to learn English at school and so on, some other languages, German in university. So I always had this passion. But I think that when it started becoming clear to me that I like teaching as well was when I was a teenager, because I went to some youth exchanges with people from all over Europe, also from Scandinavia, and from, I think your husband is Swedish, right?
Danish.
Yeah, I also met some Swedish people, some Finnish people, but the ones I loved the most, like, and the language I loved the most was Estonian. Yeah, it's very random. And then I started sometimes also teaching some people there. I liked telling them about Portuguese, and and I started thinking, well, I really like this. And then I went on to university to learn more about teaching as well. And I just thought, I really like it. So here I am. I just became a teacher, but I really like it. Yeah, you're right.
I think it's clear to see that you are passionate, and it seems to be very natural.
Thank you.
And the thing that I enjoy about your channel in particular is that the way that you break down concepts. So you make it very easy for the non-Portuguese person to really understand the sounds. And you have a lovely way of explaining things which make it easy for the learner to absorb the material.
That makes me happy.
Yeah. It's not the easiest language, but you make it you make it seem easy. So that's important.
It makes me really happy, because I do try doing that, and sometimes there are concepts that are not so easy, but still I take my time to try and do that. So that makes me happy that you say it like this.
It's brilliant. And one thing, Mia, I'm going to say that since I've been living in Portugal, I have been eating a lot of cakes, a lot of pastel de nata, and baked goods. And my subscribers are telling me that I pronounce pastelaria incorrectly.
Yeah.
So please, for all of my subscribers out there, please can you tell me the correct way of pronouncing the word?
Sure. So is pastelaria. So what's
pastelaria?
No. So you're putting the stress on the I, on this ri. So you say pastelaria.
Pastelaria.
Yeah, that's better.
Pastelaria. Okay, there you go, everyone. I've done it. I've said it correctly.
Yeah, it's feminine, so it's pastelaria.
Pastelaria.
Yeah,
pastelaria. Okay.
Yeah, so ria.
Ria.
Yeah.
Pastelaria.
Yeah. Now you're sounding almost Italian.
I know, right? Wrong country for that.
No, but it's okay. If at the beginning, you need to remember This is a trick, actually.
Mm-hmm.
If you need to remember something, and at the beginning you need to make it more like, you know, like you are doing now, it's totally okay, because then it will, I think it will normalize along the way. So if you need now to remember it's in the eye and you need to exaggerate a little bit, that's also fine.
Okay.
As long as then you start normalizing along the way.
At some point. Yeah. Okay.
Pastelaria.
Okay. I think I've got it. And now everybody can relax at the fact that I'm actually saying it correctly, hopefully, going forward.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are lots of apps out there for learning languages, and lots of people seem to love Duolingo. But I believe with Duolingo, it's Brazilian Portuguese.
Yeah.
So could you tell us why it's important to make sure that you are on the right kinds of apps, and the difference between Brazilian and European Portuguese?
Sure. So it's like this. If you have no other choice, you know, if you didn't have any means to get your hands in European Portuguese, I would say, well, if you want to learn Portuguese, then go for Duolingo, you know, and then along the way, you'll just have to adapt and, you know, start learning European Portuguese. But if you have the means to, you know, to learn European Portuguese, I advise you to do that and steer away from Duolingo, because as you said, Duolingo only has Brazilian Portuguese. And while we do understand each other, especially like I think people that are from Portugal understand Brazilians really well, because we have here a big how do I say this? We have a lot of Brazilian soap operas. So we are used, they are really good, actually. I used to like them a lot. But so we kind of have a lot of contact with the language in our TVs and so on, and the other way around, not so much. So they don't have Portuguese TV there, at least not a lot. But that being said, we do understand each other, but it's different. We are very different in terms of pronunciation. So it's the same language, but the pronunciation in Portugal is completely different from the pronunciation in Brazil. I mean, maybe not completely, but it's very different. And for example, while in Brazilian Portuguese, the vowels are all very explicit, they really open their mouth, let's say, to say all the vowels. In Portugal, we don't do that. We tend to kind of reduce our vowels. This is just an example. So, for example, if I want to say, there was a very funny word. It's the same word. It's written the same way, but we say it completely different. And that's the word for cholesterol. Okay. I know it's a random word, but it's very funny, because in Brazil, they say something like, and I'm here kind of trying to imitate their way. They say cholesterol. Okay, so that's, you can hear all the syllables very well. In Portugal, we say cholesterol.
Oh, wow.
Very so you different. See the difference?
Very different, yeah.
Yeah, so the reason why I choose this word, besides having been used by two of my favorite comedians, one Brazilian, one Portuguese, to you know, I took it from them because like they were kind of trying to show how different we speak. But you can really see that in this word, since you have so many vowels, you can really see it, you know, and this is just an example, but it happens in a lot of words. And so it can sound very different, especially for someone that is learning for the first time, right? Because, you know, when you start learning a language, of course, it's more difficult. And then if you want to learn European Portuguese and you start learning Brazilian Portuguese, then you might be super confused when you arrive to Portugal and you're like, what are you saying? You know, like, I don't understand. Yeah. So pronunciation is the biggest difference. Then we also have some vocabulary difference, like, for example, in here we say comboio for train. In there they say trem for example. Or here we say equipa for team, and they say time, which comes from team, right? I think. So, you know, there are some vocabulary differences, but they are not very significant. Yeah, I think you would be able to manage that. And then grammar, also tiny differences. For example, if we want to say, I am doing something, in Brazil, they're going to use the gerund, just like in English. So they're going to say, eu estou fazendo. That's I am doing. And here in most parts of Portugal, not all, because in Alentejo, which is a part in the south of Portugal, they say it like the Brazilian people, I think, in many places there. But in the majority of Portugal, we're going to say it like eu estou a fazer. So it's a different construction kind of thing. But anyways, again, this is like, there are not so many differences in terms of grammar. Again, the biggest difference is pronunciation. So, yeah.
So it would probably be just making life a little bit more difficult for yourself if you were learning Brazilian Portuguese when you want to come and live or visit Portugal.
Exactly.
So yeah, probably be a bit more challenging to understand people and communicate.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I mean, it doesn't mean it's not possible again, but I think it's not the ideal thing to do.
Yes.
Yeah. And also in terms of culture, right? We have a lot of cultural similarities because at the end, you know, we share history, right? But there are differences as well. Like, and I don't know, I think it just makes sense if you want to come to Portugal to really start with the European Portuguese and also the culture and so on. But yeah.
It's fascinating. I could talk more about that, but I could go on for hours. It's so fascinating. So Portuguese is a very difficult language to learn, especially if you're not a natural linguist like yourself. So what are the tips that you would give to someone who is struggling to stay motivated? Some of our subscribers have said they love the language, but they have given up, which is so sad.
Yeah, don't give up. Don't give up. First of all, I have to demystify one thing that you said there. And I also speak about this in my free webinar that I have. We can speak about it a bit further. But there is no such thing as a language gene, okay? So I want people to be clear about this. I've studied linguistics as well while in Holland. By the way, this is another thing I've done. I was living in Holland for 3 years and I studied linguistics there. And I haven't come across anything saying, oh yes, some people have this gene and some people don't. And therefore you see people who can learn languages and people who can't. First of all, there is nothing saying that someone can't learn a language. I mean, as long as you have the normal, you know, how can I say this? Mental qualities, you know, like if you are sane and, you know, and if you can, I don't know how to say this. Maybe you can help me.
Yeah, if you're sort of determined and motivated and.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're, you know, it's really that. It's like you just have to put your mind into it. You have to tell yourself, yes, I can do this, you know, and you will be able to do it. I know for some people, maybe it's more difficult because of, you know, their context. I don't know. It's different if you are free 24 hours a day, or if you have a very busy life with children, with animals, with the house, you know, I know it's more difficult, but you know, everyone can learn a language. Everyone can learn a language, and there is no such thing as a language gene. Okay. There is no proof of that. So what I advise is to try and change your mindset and try to do things a little bit at a time, because what I see many people doing is they want to learn everything, like as fast as possible, and they don't have patience with themselves. And we have to be patient with ourselves for everything we do, right? And learning a new language is hard. So, even if you can only dedicate 15 minutes a day to the language, just think like that. Okay, these 15 minutes, I'm putting the dog outside. I'm putting my husband in the garden, I don't know, or my wife or whatever. And I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to dedicate these 15 minutes. And if in these 15 minutes, all I can do is learn one sentence or learn one word, or it doesn't matter, just give yourself time and have patience. That's what I can tell, And then, of course, if you can do more, do more. And if you can start listening to the language somehow, putting some radio in Portuguese in the background, or putting some post-its around the house with some verbs or words that you've learned, just making it a little bit fun, be creative if you can. But most of all, just be patient. That's my
I
advice.
love that. They are great tips. So just to summarize, so it's about having the right mindset. Yeah.
Yes.
It's about having patience with yourself.
Yes, that's very important.
Yeah.
That's very important.
And then
another sorry.
There you go.
I was just gonna say another thing, because adults are very self-aware. So imagine you try to learn something, then you go to the store and you say it, and you're very afraid of making a mistake, because you think people are going to judge me. But making mistakes is part of the big picture. So what I mean is, like, making mistakes will actually help you along the way, because if you're too afraid to make them, you're not going to say anything, you're not going to speak. So think about children. They don't care. They want to communicate something and they go and grab it. Even if they don't say it right, they're like, yeah, whatever. I want that. So I'm just going to say it the way I know how to say. And then with time, they're going to understand that, oh yeah, this is how I say it actually. And they're going to correct their own mistakes, naturally. And I think that as adults, we have to kind of learn to do that, or relearn to do that, go a little bit back to the basics and just go for it. Go to the store and try to say something. If you say it wrong, whatever, probably no one's gonna mock you or anything. And if people don't understand you, try again, until you get what you need.
I love that. I love that. I think that we as adults sometimes have the tendency to overthink.
I have that a lot as well. I'm preaching, but
I'm also guilty of that. But I think you're so spot on. Just trying it out with the locals here, and they do appreciate it, and that's the thing that keeps you going, knowing that people do appreciate your efforts regardless of how small the effort is, even if it's just a good morning or hello, it's all appreciated.
And I also would like to say that sometimes people misinterpret the reaction that they get, because maybe people smile or like laugh a little bit, but I don't know. I can say that Portuguese people in general really do appreciate it if someone tries to speak our language. So even if we smile or laugh, if you say something wrong, it's not because we are mocking you. At least that's my experience. Of course, there are always idiots everywhere, but like in general, I think that it's because they appreciate it and they find it cute, even that you are trying to say something. So don't take it personally in this sense. And just continue, even if someone is just being mean. Just think, whatever, I speak one more language than you, so or I'm trying to, so whatever,
exactly. Just let it go over your head.
Exactly, just let it go.
So on that same topic, for those people who are not living in Portugal, or any Portuguese speaking country for that matter, and are worried that they don't have anyone to practice with, what would be your recommendation?
Well, so of course, ideally, they would be able to find some kind of a community or some other people to make language exchanges. If that's not possible, then, for example, trying to find resources online would be really good. Like I have a lot of people in my courses, for example, that are not in Portugal. But like I've just started also a little community to the students that are part of my all-in-one Portuguese course. So the course that I have that will help you achieve fluency within 6 months. Of course, I can't promise about the 6 months because it will also depend on the other person. But let's say I give you the tools to do that if you want that. But yeah, I started a little community. So there are some communities online as well. They can also search for that, either mine or other communities. And then I also want to say that even if you can't speak to someone else because there is no one else to speak, you should just continue with the rest of the skills. And a very important thing is to listen to the language. Listen, even if you can't speak, or even if you're speaking alone to the TV or to the radio or something, like listen and listen. That's like my number one tip. It's to listen to the language, because again, if we go back to how we learned our first language, we also didn't start by speaking. We started by listening, and we listened to our caregivers, whoever it was, and then we started babbling, trying to imitate it. Then we started making our first sentences, and then and then we eventually spoke, right? And in second language, we are doing it many times the other way around. So people start by writing and reading first, and this was like the last step on our learning process in our first language, right? So I'm not saying, of course, we're going to do it exactly like we did when we were toddlers, right? We don't have to start mumbling and take longer, but listen to me is really one of the first things, if not the first thing, that we have to start doing. So if you're abroad, try to get your hands on the Portuguese radio. Just put it on the background. As I said, Portuguese TV. You have a lot of the radios are online now. So RFM is one of them. It's rfm.pt or Radio Comercial. So it's like radio commercial, basically. And TV, we also have the RTP International, so there are always ways, I think, as long as you have a computer or a TV, or a radio, I think it can work. So just start listening, and then the speaking will also come more easily once you can speak to other people. That's my advice.
No, that's great. Really, really fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So what advice would you offer people who might be coming to visit Portugal, but they don't want to learn they don't want to learn the entire language and go on a full program to learn the whole, grammar and everything else. They just want to have sort of survival Portuguese, if you like. What advice would you offer those types of people?
So I think in this case, it's really like learning those courtesy words and phrases, maybe buy one of those travel books to know these sentences. I mean, it's not ideal, but if you just coming for a visit, maybe that's enough, right? Because you don't really want to learn the language per se. You just want to be able to communicate a little bit when you're here. That being said, I do have students in my courses, because I have smaller courses as well. So I have a Kickstart. I think you've seen that. And I do teach more simple things. So that could also work for someone that just wants to learn a little bit and have a feel for the language. But yeah, it's just like learn what you think you will need, and
Yeah.
that's it, basically, right?
Amazing. And for those people who are already familiar with the language, they are maybe at a sort of intermediate stage, so they're quite confident. How would you advise those people to top up what they already know, to take it to the next level?
Yeah, so I think the best way to do that is by pushing yourself to speak about topics that are more complex, or to read about more complex topics. Because I know that you reach a plateau kind of thing, and then you're like, okay, I was making a lot of progress, and now suddenly it seems like I don't go anywhere. It's really weird. And maybe it's because you're not pushing yourself to go out of your comfort zone, because it's really easy to reach that plateau. Okay, I have this comfort zone now. I can speak about, everyday things. And so I'm just going to stay here, But actually, exploring more complex topics, I don't know, like politics or history, or, reading about them, listening about them. This will actually make your vocabulary, grow, and it's gonna make your even the grammar, the way you speak, also become more tidy, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Or tidier. So I think that's my advice for these people. It's like, go out of your comfort zone, try new topics, make, even if it's easier for you, like vocabulary lists with new words, try to build your sentences in a different way, because there are always different ways of doing so. And like, also another thing for more advanced students is to try and learn some idioms and some metaphor kind of sentences and things like this.
Love that.
Yeah, because it can be really fun, especially with the idioms. I find idioms really fun. So, because knowing that is already going to give you, more, how can I say, it's going to make you sound more native, and you're going to feel like you are more fluent when people say something and you're like, I know that. Although it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have anything to do with what you're saying, the meaning, but I know it. I know what it means. And this can give you a sense of, I'm developing in this language, So I think there are some of the things you can do.
And it's more, when you're doing that, also you're getting more of a taste of the culture naturally.
Definitely.
I think it's definitely a winning piece of advice there. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So what's the best way to get into a daily routine with the language? Because a lot of us are very busy. Me personally, I have 2 children, I work full time. I'm also studying, and, there's lots going on. So for the busy person, what's the best way to keep, not just set a routine, because setting is very easy, but how do you keep the discipline?
So it's very difficult for me, this question, because I'm also terrible sometimes at keeping routines. I'm not gonna lie here and be and sit on my high horse. As I said, for me at least, what works is set a little bit of time a day, like I said before. Just say, okay, no matter what, these 15 minutes, half an hour, whatever the time you set for yourself, 45 minutes, I'm going to do this. It doesn't matter. I'm going to do this. Just think of it as like a business meeting that you have, and you have to be there. You can't just skip it, right? Even if the dog is barking or the child needs support, you just have to tell, this is going to be your time, my time. And you have to find ways of, that your child is taken care of, or your dog stops barking without your help, it's just thinking of it as a business meeting, I think can help.
Yeah.
Right. Because if you have a business meeting and your baby is crying, maybe you have someone else to help you with that. And then, of course, this is just being very strict, right? But you can kind of see what's the best for you. But what I mean is like, just set it in your mind. I'm going to do this 45 minutes, no matter what. I have to do them, or 15 minutes or 20 minutes, you know? So for me, it's really about this. And okay, if you fail one day, don't beat yourself up. Just pick up the pieces the next day and keep going again. All right. So that's my advice.
I like that a lot. And I
don't have many more, like much more to say, but no, I think this is what has helped me, and also some of my students, is just like, set it in your head. It's the mindset again. Yeah,
definitely. And I think also just to be realistic with the amount of time that you can afford to spend on it, and blocking it out in your calendar. So it's a fixed thing in your calendar, and you maybe have an alarm. Okay, time to study alarm. And and
try to think of it as something fun rather than you know, so oh no, I have to do it now. just think like, oh, I have to do it now because you know, this is gonna bring me further, and maybe in a week or 2 weeks from now I'm gonna see the results, and I'm gonna be really happy. Sorry. This happens to me with exercise. When I don't want to exercise, I have to think, okay, I don't feel like it right now, but I know that in 2 weeks or a month, I'm going to think that's good that I did it because I see results now.
Yes. Yeah. No, I love that.
You're training your muscle, your brain muscle as well.
Yeah. So I'm going to stop grilling you in a minute. So this is the last question. You've already given so many great tips while we've been talking. But if you had to sum up the 5 top tips, I'm not going to put you under that kind of pressure, actually. If you were to sum up your most important tips for a beginner, let's say, because I think at the beginning stage it's so much harder because it's all new and there's so much information and you're trying to get into a routine and a rhythm with the language. What would be your advice?
I think you should steer away from Brazilian Portuguese if you can, and if it's European Portuguese that you want to learn, then you should dedicate some time to get acquainted with the sounds of the language. So listen. I can never say this enough. Start listening to the language. And then this is going to help you further on, you know, to speak as well. So if you have opportunities, also speak, you know, try to start interacting. And just worry more about the grammar and so on. Just start, you know, worrying more about that a little bit further on, if you know, if this if you find that this helps you, because like some people actually like to learn grammar from the beginning, and that's also okay. But in my opinion, if you first dedicate, I don't know, a week or a week and a half or something like that to just get acquainted to the sounds and then start learning the grammar, that's also totally fine. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. Learn from the children. That's what we said. This is really important as well. Just change your mindset and just be patient with yourself. And finally, you know, there are many materials out there. There are courses, there are one-to-one classes, there are, I don't know, self-study materials and so on. Just find what's best for you and you know, just go with it. If it's working for you, perfect, because there is not like one thing fits all, you know, in this sense. So just find what's making sense to you. And just be patient with yourself. Those are my tips, I think.
Great advice, thank you. And for those who want to find out more about you and your courses and your channel. Can you, you've talked a little bit about your courses, but tell us more. Tell us some more.
Okay, so my website is learn-portuguese.org. And in there you're gonna be able to see right in the front page, you see my free webinar. So I have some free materials and some paid courses as well. So I have a free webinar, which is like where I teach you the 4 secrets to learn Portuguese faster and more effectively. And then at the end, I'm gonna be very transparent. At the end, of course, I make an offer for my all-in-one Portuguese course. This all-in-one Portuguese course has all my core courses. So it has the master course, which teaches you about grammar, vocabulary, some pronunciation as well. And it takes you from an A1 level, so this is the beginner's level, to a B2 level, which is the upper intermediate level. So that's my master course. Then it also includes the speech course, which is all about the sounds of Portuguese, all those tricky sounds. And it also analyzes native speakers' real speech, like I go on with, like I analyze with you some videos. We're going to listen to it because, native speakers always pronounce things differently, right? When we are speaking fast. So I thought that this would be really good for the students to learn and to, get to listen to it and understand it. So I do this with you as well. And then I also have inside the all-in-one Portuguese course, the story time, interactive stories in Portuguese. These are this is a course that helps you learn Portuguese through stories, all written and in Portuguese, and you're asked to interact with the stories. And they were written by me and recorded also by me. So you receive one. Actually, if you sign up for the all-in-one Portuguese course, you receive 1 year worth of stories. You're going to receive 1 story a week, right? Or you should do 1 story per week. If you buy it separately, because you can buy all of these courses separately from each other, then this is kind of a membership course, and you get 1 story per week, and you pay a fee per month, basically. The speech course and the master course are just a one-time payment thing, and the all-in-one Portuguese course that includes all of these courses plus a lot of bonuses, it's also just one-time payment thing. And you get all of that. And I basically also give you a roadmap. So it's called the roadmap to fluency, where I tell you, okay, you have to do this today and this tomorrow and this the next day. Of course, you can adapt to your schedule. I mean, it's not set in stone. It's more like a guide, but I really put it in a way that will help you with your journey, hopefully. So yeah, these are my courses. And so the webinar is for free. And I also have a free course, which is the Kickstart Your Portuguese. And it just teaches you the basics, basically. So it's a mini course teaching you the very basic things, but can be really helpful, I think, if you're just starting out.
It's a great course. I can definitely attest to that. You've had some great testimonials from people who have learned so much from your courses. And how often is it that you also have your YouTube channel? How often do you try to release videos?
So my YouTube channel is Mia Esmeriz Academy. It's called like my school. And I release videos. I'm now on a schedule. I made it every Wednesday.
Okay.
So every Wednesday I'm releasing a new video. What I was doing videos spoken in English, explaining Portuguese concepts. Now I'm kind of switching and I'm doing more Portuguese.
Yes, I see.
Tomorrow's video is going to be also in Portuguese. And I think from now on, there will be more Portuguese videos. Just if a concept is too hard, then maybe I bring some English again to the mix. But yeah, I'm doing that. I also have an Instagram page, which is Learn EU Portuguese.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can always email me if you have any questions to Mia at learn-portuguese.org. So
amazing. And we'll include all of your information about your courses and your contact information in the description box so that people can reach out to you and that's
awesome.
check you out.
Yeah, I'm waiting.
So my final thing to you is to say muito obrigada.
De nada.
And como se diz thank you for the interview in Portuguese?
Obrigada pela entrevista.
Entrevista?
Entrevista.
Entrevista.
Yeah.
Entrevista, which is video. So
entrevista is an interview.
Oh, interview. Okay.
Yeah.
Entrevista.
Do you know how to write that?
Entrevista. Okay. So it's obrigada. So muito obrigada pela entrevista.
Can you read that?
Okay. So I'm going to try and say it flawlessly now so it can be in the video. Okay. So obrigada pela entrevista.
Boa! Muito bem. Muito bem. De nada, de nada. Obrigada por me teres convidado.
Oh.
Thank you for having invited me.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Muito prazer. Prazer? Prazer.
Muito prazer.
Prazer. Prazer.